So friends, that's obviously a very ominous warning there, isn't it? Watch out, because one will be taken and one will be left behind. It's a very ominous warning. It's very apocalyptic. So never say the UCC isn't a little fire and brimstone every once in a while. How's that? But I divert, though. I wonder, have you ever been up late at night, just a little too late, and there's something you're really interested in, and you find your head nodding, right? Your concentration is lessening, and your body is crying out for sleep? Often that happens to me, though, sometimes on Sunday afternoons. See, Sunday morning is a lot of energy. It's getting up to speak and talking to everyone, and there's a lot of needs and there's a lot of things happening. So oftentimes it's a tiring and stressful time, and so when everything is finished and I go home, I make lunch. I wait for Suzanne to get home. This has been going on for 20 years. This is how it happens. She's always far away, so I make lunch. She comes home. We eat our lunch. And most often, we put on the video of Saturday Night Live that was on the night before. And though I'm usually interested in the show, if you're a fly on the wall, you can see my head slowly nodding, bobbing up and down, and of course me often missing the second half of the show because I'm in a little bit of a haze. My body is just crying out for a little bit of rest. Now, I know that's happened to you sometime. You want to stay awake, but you just can't. Your concentration is broken. Something internally is distracting you, and your biological clock tells you it's just time to rest, friend. Now, today we hear in our scripture about a warning to keep awake, for we do not know the hour that the Lord is coming. How does that come for you? How does that come true for you? How is it that you need to stay awake, waiting for the coming of the Lord? Are you on the sofa like me, your spiritual head bobbing up and down? Can you keep awake? Or do you know that you're really sleeping? Our Advent candle that Mary Lawrence lit this morning, it spoke about hope. That's the first of the words that we focus on during the Advent season. Hope. We spoke of hope for a world that includes rather than excludes, and that we seek a Lord who welcomes us also to worship. Now, years and years ago, back in 2010, at our congregational meeting to vote open and affirming, one of us stood up and they shared their story about not being included in worship at another church because of certain events in their life. This is a classic picture of struggle in our modern world. The struggle is whether to welcome people into the place of worship for any number of reasons. It doesn't have to be anything outlandish that some people might think. It might just be because they didn't dress right, and so they're not welcome. And later in the meeting, we had a near unanimous vote, and we declared that such a thing would not be tolerated here in this place of worship, in this community of faith, in this place where people are welcomed and no one is excluded. Now, right after the 9/11 event, I had two guests in a Bible study when I was a minister back in Michigan at the Saline Church. They were excellent guests. They were humble and they were well prepared. They were well received by my Bible study group. Their names, one was Brother Ratib and the other was Imam Mutfaq from the Islamic Center of Ann Arbor. And they were there to speak of their faith and their belief in Islam. They educated us of a word which had been misused by both certain groups in Islam and other kinds of media outlets around the world, and well discussed as well, and derided ever since. The word is jihad. They explained how to a Muslim the word jihad means a struggle. And they discussed and suggested that in no sense does the word jihad mean a war. Jihad is a struggle within each of us to come closer to our God. They acknowledge that for some people, this term had been diverted to suit personal motivations. Now, our spirituality can be diverted. My sense of spirituality can be diverted. I can nod off and I can divert my purpose and teaching as a Christian in order to fill some other agenda, whether it be personal or communal. Perhaps each of us should focus on staying awake this Advent season, this time before Christmas, in our struggle to maintain a relationship with our God. Now, I know that there are going to be many parties where drinking and eating are the focus of the fellowship. And yet, strangely enough, this morning's scripture speaks about eating and drinking. It says, "For in those days, before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and given in marriage until the day Noah entered the ark." This is an ominous warning that if we are to get too focused on the day-to-day merrymaking of the season, we may miss something in a slumber of partying. Are we truly watching? Are we truly staying awake in order to maintain our relationship with God? Now, I don't mean to be a party pooper. It's a good thing to meet. It's a good thing to have fun. I know that Jesus would have it no other way. Remember the wedding in Cana? They were partying for a while and he created 180 gallons of new wine. I know Jesus liked to have a good time. Jesus went to that party. He was a fun, loving guy. But we also know that there are times to revel and there are times to watch. I think this time of Advent would be a good time for us all to do a little of both. We certainly need it in times like ours. So, folks, I suggest to all that in these twilight hours, as we await the coming of the celebration of Jesus' birth, we keep ourselves from the tendency to nod off. Let's keep awake, as the scripture suggests. Let's take the time to stay alert, to find new energy, to serve our God in this time of waiting. Our time of service hasn't come and gone, but it remains in front of us. Let's hope for that one we call the Prince of Peace to change our lives and to bring goodness, to chase away the evil in our own lives, to embrace us in our own struggle, our own jihad, to stay close to and maintain a relationship with our God. So keep awake. We're waiting for something wonderful. I know there are distractions, but why not be intentional about focusing on today and not particularly on December 25th? May God bless our each and every day. May we stay closer to God than any other distraction or weariness that we may be tempted by. And may God bless you in this time of waiting. My friends, may the Lord be with you. Let us